Fighting evil by moonlight, procrastinating on Sailor Moon reviews by daylight. This is my review of the big finale of the third season of Sailor Moon Crystal. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, I know that this review was a long time coming. I have been busy as shit, but I finally had the opportunity to sit down and watch the final episodes of the last part of Sailor Moon Crystal, and you know what? This was infinitely better than anything from the first two seasons of the show. I actually really enjoyed a lot of the stuff that I saw in the final arcs of Sailor Moon Crystal. A lot of that having to do with the fact that Sailor Moon herself didn't really steal the show the entire time. It took a good collective group effort from all of the Sailor Senshi to take down Master Pharaoh 90 and all of his creepy daemons. Seeing as how I am reviewing multiple episodes at once, I'm going to sort of jump around a little bit to all of the big major events which have been going down in these final episodes. And for the most part, the final episodes of the series are basically all of the Sailor Senshi just assaulting Master Pharaoh 90, the Academy, and taking down all of their enemies. But there's still a few little twists and turns which make this final arc pretty damn interesting. It's also worth noting that the animation style in these last couple of episodes is significantly better than some of the stuff that we've seen from the previous episodes, especially when compared to the first two parts of Sailor Moon Crystal. So basically what's going on here, if you guys remember from my last review, you have Hotaru, otherwise known as Sailor Saturn, who has just been transformed into Mistress 9, who essentially is the ultimate right-hand woman of Master Pharaoh 90. She's trying to create this giant portal which will allow Master Pharaoh 90 to come to Earth, envelop it in his darkness, and rule over all of it. But of course, the Sailor Senshi are not going to stand for any of this. However, there's going to be a lot of obstacles in their way, whether it be all the crazy daemon monsters they have to fight. They'll have to navigate a giant building filled with regenerating massive thorns. Not only that, but we're also going to see the return of Witches 5. They're going to be returning, thanks of course to Cowlinite, who has reincarnated all of them, and they're even more powerful than before, and they go up against the Sailor Senshi one at a time, trapping them with their cool abilities. At first I almost thought they were going to try to choose like the elemental counterparts to each of the Sailor Senshi, and while they do that, it's not exactly black and white, but it leads to a lot of really great action scenes, and it's an excuse to sort of separate them from Sailor Moon as well, who has her own laundry list of problems. Not only is she trying to save the day, but she's still constantly worried about Chibi-usa, who essentially is on her deathbed for most of the finale. But even she does eventually return, going through the classic transformation sequences as they prepare to throw down with Mistress 9. That's right, after destroying Bitches 5 for the second time, they go up against Mistress 9, who continues to sort of struggle by controlling herself and being controlled by Hotaru as well. One guy who is okay with being controlled by some sort of weird demonic alien, however, is the very creepy Professor Tomoe, and we get to go through a little bit of his backstory in these episodes, basically learning how he met Master Pharaoh 90, how Cowlinite was created, and how he eventually becomes a weird, freaky alien hybrid monster himself, who has one hell of a kick-ass battle with the Sailor Senshi. Probably my favorite battle from the entire series. I just loved the style of the animation, and despite the fact that yes, he is basically just another hulking purple monster, he has a lot of style, and his attacks look really cool, especially the kick-ass beams which are exploding out of his eyeballs. But then there is Mistress 9. Eventually there is a point where Hotaru is actually able to free herself from her body, and she essentially turns into a spirit, which means she's going to die. But before she leaves, she manages to run into Chibi-usa. She says her final goodbyes, letting her know that she loves her. Oh, it's so schmaltzy. And then she suddenly disappears. This is when all of the Sailor Senshi come together and team up against Mistress 9, who is transformed into this disgusting purple spiky monster, which starts to assimilate with Master Pharaoh 90 and starts to cover the world in darkness. That is until Sailor Saturn suddenly just appears out of nowhere like the harbinger of death that she is and annihilates Master Pharaoh 90 with this massive beam of pure awesomeness. This is a really great scene because there's so much tenseness here, because everybody's already freaked out that the Earth is about to be destroyed by Master Pharaoh 90, and then Sailor Saturn shows up, and she is basically the caller of death. She is there when everything is about to be destroyed, but she uses her power to simply banish and destroy Master Pharaoh 90, who unfortunately, like a lot of the other major villains from the Sailor Moon universe, is just like a big set of eyeballs covered in energy. He's essentially just headlights in the fog. And I really wish he would have taken a more physical form so that we could have a more, personal confrontation with the Sailor Senshi. That being said, he was still a pretty cool villain, but basically pretty stock when compared to characters like Kaolinite, Mistress Nine, or even Professor Tomoe, who just reeked of so much more personality. That being said, Sailor Saturn returning and blasting the fuck out of this dude was pretty damned awesome. So that's pretty much the end of the series right there. However, there are a few things to wrap up in the story. First and foremost, Sailor Saturn returned, and then she sort of disappeared again, but she is suddenly reincarnated as a baby. And it looks like Neptune and Uranus are going to be taking care of that baby, and honestly, I think that's pretty awesome. It means we're eventually going to see the return of Hotaru, who eventually will probably become a very different version of Sailor Saturn if they decide to do more of these Sailor Moon anime in the future. Everybody's happy, everything is wrapped up, and it just ends in a nice package. So, what's the rundown on the final episodes of Sailor Moon Crystal Season 3? Such a better adaptation than the first half of the series. So much more competently told, and the action scenes are so much greater, and there's so much more impact behind them. It still has some of the issues of the first two seasons where some of the pacing is a little off. Like, in some of the episodes, it almost felt like they could have combined some of the elements. There is a lot of waiting around for things. The good news is everything still looks really nice. There is a lot of attention to detail. There's way more movement than there ever was in the first couple of seasons, especially from the Sailor Senshi themselves. And despite the fact that they do reuse like animations such as the transformation sequences and some of the big attacks, they all look really damn awesome. They put a lot of attention to detail into those, and when they combine all of their attacks together, it looks even cooler. The best thing about the finale, though, that I really loved is that it was, again, a collective effort. It wasn't just Sailor Moon kicking all sorts of ass just by herself. It really took the help of everyone, and that's saying a lot for the power of Master Pharaoh 90, considering by the end of this series, Sailor Moon is powerful as shit. She's basically known as Super Sailor Moon at this point, thanks to her advanced transformation techniques, and then you have the other Sailor Senshi, you got Sailor frickin' Pluto, Neptune, Uranus, Saturn coming in, frickin' Chibi-usa, and even Tuxedo Mask is slightly useful in these last couple of episodes, which definitely makes it a pretty satisfying finale. The ultimate group effort against the ultimate evil. If they do another season of this, I'm really interested to see what the villains are going to be like, if it's just going to be another weird, frickin' formless type of villain. I really want there to be more of a presence from the villains in this series, which I honestly think is probably the weakest aspect of Sailor Moon in general. They have a lot of personality and you can get attached to them, but they're just cannon fodder. They all just get destroyed in like destructive pink fashion. It's just hilarious in some senses. That being said, the real strength of Sailor Moon is the friendship between the Sailor Senshis themselves, which can come across as cheesy at times, but it's also realistic and it's something that a lot of people can relate to. Not to mention, this is just a pleasant anime series that's incredibly inoffensive and will definitely appeal to a lot of people, especially fans of the original Sailor Moon series from the 90s, or even those who read the manga version, as supposedly this version of the story is very close to the original version. So that's definitely something to look forward to. What I will say is, I really did enjoy these last couple episodes of Sailor Moon Crystal, and it sort of changed my opinion of the entire series overall. And it's just such a huge step up from those first two seasons, which frankly just sucked at this point. This is definitely the best I've seen from Sailor Moon thus far, although I still am a little biased. I still think the original 90s series just has better development, but a lot of that has to do with the fact that there's so much filler, and they have all this extra time to go through that. So this is like the super fillerless version of Sailor Moon. This is Sailor Moon Kai, if you will. So if you want to absorb the series, I'd recommend actually checking out this one right here. As for personal preferences, at the end of the day, I still have to say that my favorite Sailor Senshi is probably Sailor Pluto. She kicks all sorts of ass. The Mistress of Time is definitely my favorite member of the team, and I'm really interested to see who is your favorite Sailor Senshi. Make sure to tell me in the comments section below. As far as a score for this last couple episodes right here, I think they're all solid 4 out of 5. Like, they're not perfect and the pacing is a little off, but each episode is satisfying in their own way. It's a nice build-up to a very explosive and crazy finale with Sailor Saturn, and it ends on a really nice note, letting us know that things could pick up again sometime in the future. So that's probably what I would probably end up giving like the entire series overall, is a solid 4 out of 5. It's definitely got some flaws, but for the most part, it's very watchable, it's super nostalgic, and it'll just make you feel good. It's that type of anime series. So check it out, Sailor Moon fans. You might see something you like, but if any of you did watch the last couple episodes of the series, make sure to tell me what you thought about it in the comments section below. Did you have a favorite episode from the 3rd season? Who's your favorite member of the Sailor Senshi? If they do another season, what do you want to see from that? And make sure to tell me about your favorite Sailor Moon Crystal moments. Make sure to tell me in the comments section below. You guys are awesome! Thank you for watching this review, I really appreciate it. Make sure to subscribe to the channel and follow us on social media. Thank you guys again for watching, and as always, stay dandy, baby!